Jumbo Africa. Well, we're back again, Zizo, and now here inside. Yeah, no. The winter.
It's cold outside. Guys, I will see FNB in a few months' time.
Yeah, no, we enjoy the Calabash view, but for now, just last week, it was what? Was it the 15th anniversary? Of Shaba.
Of Shaba, yeah.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
15, because this is 2015.
2015, yeah. Well, you remember him with that glorious strike here at FNB Stadium against Mexico on the 11th of June.
You know, I wasn't here at the stadium during that match.
Pela, what are you working for? You're working for FIFA. Yeah, I want to people have lived large in this world.
Yeah,
so what are they paying you in dollars?
I still have a confidential clause. I can't reveal. NDA.
Non-disclosure agreement, what?
It was good times.
Wow.
I look back with fond memories. I always tell the story that we played here at the stadium the morning after the final. As the staff, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
and who was marking you on the other side?
One of these guys who are not training. I kill everyone there.
Did Lux play?
He must have played, yeah. He must have played. There's quite a lot of people. Some who were
you were stationed at Loftus?
Yeah, I was at Loftus, yeah. I was with Brashwis Mazibuga at Loftus. Yeah, so that's why I missed the opening match.
And you were there with the great Maradona?
Yes. I did all Diego Maradona's press conferences, missed them once. Because he was staying at University of Pretoria.
Okay.
So yeah, quite a handful kind of a guy. He doesn't follow protocol. He just does his own thing. But yeah, he was very, some of the things will be in my book.
I've heard a lot of things about even having a special room and a toilet there at the HPC and with the gold what and very interesting.
Special guy, yeah.
Yeah. Talking of the World Cup, so the Club World Cup, and yesterday watching this tournament, and I was like, okay, there's something that I'm relating to here, especially when you look at how this whole thing is happening. That, with all due respect to the previous version of the Club World Cup, but this is a true Club World Cup. This, where you have teams, not just one team from each continent, but different teams from different continents, all there. And I know that there are a lot of issues in terms of how this is stretching the season for some teams and stuff. But if it's every 4 years, and also with all due respect, we are not going to have a situation where UEFA, CAF or CONMEBOL, they think that they own teams or they own the space,
Yeah, it's an interesting tournament. Initially, I didn't quite make out couldn't make out what to make of it. But FIFA have got this way of if they've set on doing something, they'll do it.
100%.
It's in the US. It's a tough football market. The US, as you know.
So Sundowns less than 4,000 fans.
Yeah, they love their soccer, and I'm sure they'll warm up to it. Tournaments like this always gets more interesting when you go to the knockout stages, where the so-called smaller teams will be eliminated and they'll go home, and sort of the big boys will remain. But what I've seen so far, there's been some very good football matches. Some of the best players are there. Obviously, here and there you'll find mismatches. There was that 10-goal match the other day, which really was not really a good look. It's something which I think people will open up to. I think if it was in a traditional football country, it will be different. And also, there's this thing of watching football in the US.
Yes.
It needs a little bit of getting used to. The stadiums are weird.
Soccer. as they call it.
Yeah, also, I mean, us being here where we are now in South Africa, we are a little bit disadvantaged in terms of time differences. People had to wake up around midnight to watch Sundowns against Ulsan last night. So it's been that tricky, but it will get better as the matches go. When, as I said, the smaller teams are eliminated and the bigger boys continue to play. We will see a very, very strong knockout stages, and then we'll see what's leading up to the later stage of the tournament. But I've been, I still quite, I guess it's the beginning of the tournament.
Correct.
I've even had this feeling when an AFCON is playing, when the Euros are playing, even the World Cup, where at the beginning you still need time to sort of get used to it. But the real stuff happens as the tournament progresses. But yeah, and FIFA will push it; it will happen and continue to happen. You raise an important thing of it stretches the calendar. It's a bit tricky. If you look at the Sundowns players, they've just finished the league. There was about a 2-week break. They are there. They'll come back, a short break. The league will start. As the league is going with cup competitions, they will stop, go to AFCON. So it's going to be tough on these boys. Imagine also in the European players who played in the Nations final, especially guys who plays for the Portuguese national team and
Spain.
They will be stretched because there's not too much rest, but they are professionals and this is what they've signed up for. I just hope going forward, for the well-being of the players, maybe the players should be consulted adequately when these things are decided, because it can take a toll on the players. Yeah, but for us, the fans, I guess we're enjoying because the domestic season is finished, but we still continue to watch top football.
Yeah, because also one of the reasons I'm looking at this is another thing that was done before the tournament was a special dispensation where clubs are allowed to sign new players. But I think I understood the point of Miguel Cardoso to say on the Sundowns side they decided not to take it up. We know that one of the deals that they were looking to clinch before going to this tournament was bringing in Pasadian from Stellenbosch, but I think maybe they've decided to hold on to those moves.
Or maybe even Mayele.
This Mayele one. But you remember in the previous edition, we discussed the Mayele issue. That Sundowns in 2023, scouts went to watch Mayele when he was still with Yanga. And at the time, Yanga was only asking for 6 million rands.
Yeah, now they're going to pay now.
Now it's over 40 million rands, And I think that is bad business. Especially when a recommendation was made that Mayele should be signed, but maybe the SD at the time believed more in players who were in the transfer room and didn't believe in African talent. And this is the situation.
You've got to pay the price.
Yeah. And you saw how Mayele in the matches that he played both against Orlando Pirates and Sundowns, he showed the quality, finished as the top goal scorer in this CAF Champions League. And the publication that wrote about him possibly coming to Sundowns is a credible platform on the African continent. Even though we will not confirm 100%
yeah, we
that,
can't until
Yes. But I just feel that this is a serious lesson that they need to, like we said the last time, that they need to prioritize talent on the continent better.
Yeah.
And in this case of Mayele, imagine how much they are going to pay now, and they could have paid much less before.
Because this transfer room over the technical director, it has had hits, but also it has had a lot of misses.
Yeah, Allende, Ribeiro, top quality players.
Yes, but most of the players that have come from that thing at a huge cost, because these guys get paid a lot of money. definitely were misses. The jury
It's not value for money, eh?
The jury is still out on Salas.
Yeah, I know.
Going forward, I would still prefer Peter Shalule any time ahead of Salas. You can see that he was given more than adequate opportunity to play. And fortunately for him, on opportunities that he got, he scored a few goals. And that will sort of justify their decision for them having brought them here. I mean, look at the complete disaster of Suarez, who came here, and some of the matches they've lost, Sundowns fans can argue that they should not have lost if it was not for his mistakes. So going for Mayele, I think, is a good thing. You need top quality like that if you really want to win a Champions League. I mean, football is a team sport, but you always have key players who propels you to win big things, and I don't think there will be anyone who can argue against the fact that Pyramids won the Champions League simply because of the contribution of Mayele, the goals that he scored. He just sort of struck fear into the opposition.
Yes.
Whenever he was there, they always had a chance.
Yes.
And for Sundowns, if they really want to try again and win the Champions League, you need a person like that. If Shalule is staying, you have got Shalule, you have got Ikram Reyners. Ikram Reyners is proving to be a decent goal scorer. In fact, more than a decent goal scorer.
Yeah.
He will be a handful in the Champions League. As you remember, he will be getting another season playing in the Champions League at that level.
Actually, I saw Mayele even on Insta watching the Sundowns game with keen interest.
Maybe he's analyzing.
And I think he still wants to come to South Africa.
Yeah.
He still wants to come to South Africa. But unfortunately, well, I know that Kaizer Chiefs were interested, but I just don't see them competing in this space. And there is nothing wrong with Sundowns spending a lot of money on transfers, because if you look at the Al Ahly's, the Wydads and the Esperances, just look at how much Al Ahly spent now getting players back from Europe, getting players from the Gulf region. But the results must also talk to that.
And I mean, I've listened to this never-ending nonsensical discussion about fair play and all those kinds of things.
The financial fair play.
Yeah, the financial fair play. I mean, there are some people who are pushing the narrative here in the country. Unfortunately, we don't have that now.
No, I think sometimes we compare ourselves too much to what is happening in
elsewhere,
Europe. Because this thing of financial fair play is controlled at UEFA level. It's not even controlled in the national leagues. It's controlled at UEFA level. So if it's to start here in Africa, it must come from CAF. From CAF.
Yes.
And the conditions are not the same.
They are not the same.
And also it's something, I did an interview on Hollywood Bets platform recently with Lunga Sokela. And he said this thing of the squad caps and
the capping on how
yes,
players
and salary caps.
Yeah.
It's something they explored and even had recommendations way back in 2009, and there was no follow up to it because that thing will not just hit Sundowns, because all these other clubs, most of these other clubs in the league, they want to sell their players to Sundowns.
Yeah. So where are they going to get money?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to sell their players to Sundowns.
And when you get money from Sundowns, what do you do with that money?
Exactly.
They are going to buy extra.
So there is now nothing wrong with them spending big on transfers, but I think the problem is when Sundowns is trying to hawk talent.
Yeah.
For instance, now they want Pasadian.
And they've got
they have Modiba, they have Lunga, and they've just renewed the contract. Yes, they've just renewed the contract of Terence Mashiko.
Yeah.
And he's even been left here at home.
There's Mdinyala also. I think he plays left back.
He plays right back.
There's another guy. This boy who was playing for the junior national team, he's also a left back.
Yes,
They've got a lot of left backs.
So
why are you going for Barazadin?
Exactly.
That is another issue that can be discussed.
Yes. And I understand that they are going for Basadian because apparently he was very close to agreeing with Chiefs. You see now.
Yeah, that is.
And remember what Coach Rulani said the last time, that they went for Mashiko because they didn't want him to strengthen the opponent. But also, at Sundowns, they are sentimental about players coming from Mamelodi.
From Mamelodi, yeah.
From Mamelodi. So I think it's just, if they can just manage that, because players go there as Bafana players. And also, it's the AFCON in December.
You want Bafana players to be playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the World Cup next year. So if you go there, and if you saw the performance of Lunga yesterday, now imagine Lunga forcing both Pasadena and Modiba to sit on the
sit
bench.
outside, yeah.
Who do we have at Bafana? At left back?
Will suffer, yeah.
It will suffer.
And
it will
Lunga,
suffer.
for me, has been the most improved player over the last while at Sundowns because he's really stepped it up. And
Exactly.
this coach believes in him, and you need
Yeah.
a coach who believes in you.
Yeah. Before we move, I just wanted to touch on yeah.
That issue of Mayele. Those people who say Mayele will go to Chiefs, they were just dreaming. He will never go to Chiefs because he wants to play Champions League.
No, imagine now you win Champions League and then
And
you
then
go
you go and play.
Yeah.
No.
And also,
he
it's
was
not
never
cheap,
gonna
eh?
do. No,
It's not
it's not cheap because a lot of money.
in Vulamulamo, 50,000 USD. You know, yeah. But you watched. I thought I was impressed with a number of players in that Sundowns team. Reyners, I mean, even the two disallowed goals. There's this second goal, very tight with the VAR. But you just look at how he finished that. Lunga had a great game as well, and I was also impressed with him. Shishi, I think some people have got blood in their hands.
Yeah, the Mshishi one, I think also you can make the argument that Mshishi could have helped Sundowns to try and win the Champions League. I think whoever the people behind the scenes in terms of technical team who took that decision of not giving me an opportunity, they've got a lot to answer for. And I hope that his performances at the match against Ulsan is a clear indication to the powers that be at the club that he needs to get more minutes. I understand at his age he's not going to be starting matches, he's not going to be starting and finishing matches, but you need to have to find a way as to how can you use him as an impact player. Or even at matches that you're dominating, where there's no pressure, bring Mshishi on and, let him do his thing. Let him excite the crowd, and even there are some matches which will be tight in the league in the second half where you need something. Mushishi can come on and do it.
Especially
in Egypt.
In that space, in that space where they give him space, you could see him in this game.
He plays like that.
Exactly.
That's how he plays.
Yeah, but another player who impressed me was he came very late in the game. He helped with pressing, and I think he created about three chances late in the game. Lebo Motiba, you could see when he's injury free, and I was like, okay, now he's coming back.
Yeah, and the issue about Lebo also is going back to the Champions League. I mean, if you've got Lebo there, you've got Mayele there. If Mayele comes ultimately, it'll be a handful. I just feel sorry for these ones in South Africa. I don't know how they are going to block these guys.
But then it would also mean that maybe someone like Shalula is on the way out.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling, and also. There's something I've noticed. Sundowns are releasing these videos from behind the scenes and stuff, and body language of Shalil is just not quite right. He's usually a bubbly guy behind the scenes who seems to be, he's quite a popular guy around the group. They're always mocking him about tucking in and all that stuff. But these days, you don't see much on those videos. Whenever he appears, he's sitting there by himself, he's minding his own business. You can see that there is something happening there. And if he were to leave, it goes back to the people behind the scenes at the club who they would have denied him the opportunity to push for that record of the all-time leading goal scorer. I think he deserved it, but unfortunately he was not given that opportunity. And if he is leaving, that will really be something which is very unfortunate. He has been a good seven for the club, a good seven for South African football. And it will be sad to see him go. But at the same time, I think if he goes, I'm told the rumors are the Gulf region. Let him go there, make money for his family, go get the pension money and then come back. I know he's making good money here, but he'll probably go make good money there. So I think if they are thinking of bringing Mayele and then Mutiba is pretty much just a new signing. He's only starting to play now. So they'll have two. Then you have Ikram Reyners.
And also it's good to have Lebo Motiba back in form
for Bafana.
with AFCON coming and the World Cup qualifiers. But just to quickly go through it, before we move away from this Club World Cup, now Sundowns against Dortmund. I think there's something to build on because in a tournament of this magnitude, even 4 points could be enough to take you through to the next stage. But we saw how tightly contested was that
Dortmund
Dortmund and Fluminense game, and those two matches are going to be different ball games, especially starting with this one against Dortmund.
Yeah, I guess the good thing for Sundowns is that they've played in high stakes matches, maybe not quite the same quality, because Dortmund will be on another level, but Sundowns can compete against Dortmund. Fluminense will bring a different dimension, and they will play. As you say, that match between Dortmund, and it was not quite an exciting type of football, but it was more of a chess game. You can see two good teams going at each other, not giving it a chance to play and all that kind of thing. And you could see that Sundowns will have to play at that level if they were to beat both of them or at least one. As you say, they've got 3 points now. If they get another one, they're on 4 points, and then you don't know what will happen, where. They may be in the knockout stages, and I also have a sense that even if they don't win the remaining 2 matches, this one win may be enough to save the coach. Because I was told if he loses these 3 matches, from there to Portugal is. So it's something. Because they always say in the group stages, you must beat the weakest team in the group. And I must say that Ulsan team pretty much is the weakest team in that group. But it's not going to be easy for Sundowns to beat Fluminense and to beat Dortmund, because the quality will be a little bit more in terms of the opposition. But they've been there, man. I mean, if you play consistently, the knockout stage of a Champions League in CAF, these guys should be able to compete against those guys. I watched also Kuluso Mudau yesterday. The guy really. I really don't know. I don't know what more to say about this guy, because in each and every single game he's consistent. He's doing the right things. He's definitely the top, one of the top players on the continent right now.
Yeah, but I think I was listening to Thembinkosi Lorch when he talks about his move to Wydad, and I think for me it's very interesting, and even now, when you have both Thembinkosi Lorch and Cassius Mailola starting, they're not on the bench, starting against Man City, it also tells you about the confidence that they have in them.
And also, imagine it's a new coach. They're not starting because of the coach who brought them there. That talks to the impact they've made for the club. I am sure that they are working very hard behind the scenes to make 100%. This move permanent, because I think they're both on loan. But with Cassius should be easier, because I don't think that club in the US still wants Cassius back there.
No, I'm told he's got a lot of offers, especially in Europe.
They'll have to fend off those offers.
Even Lorch, apparently, he's got offers already.
Yeah, Lorch has really done well. It just shows you a different environment, what he can do to a player. Here in South Africa, I think he was in a comfort zone, and he was just not quite doing it. Maybe Sundowns, I think. I know Sundowns can be tricky.
And I want us to listen to Lorch, because it's interesting what he's got to say, even about Rulani bringing him there, but also what you're talking about, the change of environment about it.
I think it's not easy from coming from South Africa to Morocco, where in South Africa everyone knows me, So when I came here, no one knows me, So I had to adjust, I think my teammate and the coaches welcome well in the team, and even the supporters, I think I'm fitting well now. Yeah, I've worked with Coach Rulani from even before Sundowns. I used to play for Pirates, and then he coached me at Pirates, and then when he went to Sundowns, he fetched me from Pirates to Sundowns. So I think for me, it's like a brother to me, father figure, friend, because every time when I have problems, I would go to him and then he would give me advice, So I think he made it easier for me to fit well in the team, Yeah. I think both teams have the mentality to win. Both teams have good players. I would say Sundowns likes to play tiki-taka. I think Wydad, they have that style, but they more aggressive. I think that's the difference. I think the difference is that here in Wydad, we are aggressive.
Well, me particularly and all my staff, we're pretty excited, of course. It's one of the major events in the world soccer panorama, and for clubs, for sure, the biggest one. And after my life experience in football, I already made as assistant coach Champions League matches, Europa League matches, but now having the chance to be in a Clubs World Cup is obviously a highlight in mostly in my career as a head coach. I think for me it's a very particular position because last year I was in another club which also I qualified for the Champions League, for the Clubs World Cup, so having the chance now to come back again on that possibility and be present with Mamelodi Sundowns, such a big club, is obviously is a clear highlight on the career of any coach, that event, and for me obviously quite a big achievement. Yeah, that's exactly the question, because I think by what I feel is that everybody's pretty proud by one side of being in that competition, but at the same time with the responsibility of knowing that they want to perform, because the mindset in the club is very strong towards performance, towards achieving goals, towards achieving trophies. Obviously, we know where we stand, and we have, but also we know our ambitions and where we want to go to. We understand the reality, but we are willing to make our best in every challenge that we'll face. And that's also a test for us. In which level are we? Because we know that in Africa, we are one of the biggest teams. But we want to understand in which level also we can be regarding different realities in the world. Obviously, for myself as a coach that comes from Europe, I already worked in France, in La Liga, I worked in Spain in La Liga, in Liga 1 in France, I worked in Greece, I worked in Ukraine, and Portugal, of course, so I have quite an idea about the level of teams and the players. But it's quite challenging to understand that teams will make a big difference, and we want to be very strong as a team. We know that we have important players, but we want to be very strong as a team when we arrive in the Champions League, because if we can do it as a team, arriving there strongly in the right mindset, with the right behaviors then in the pitch, of course, because the team is always based on the behaviors, we believe we can challenge ourselves and create challenges for the ones we're going to play against. And that's what will be the most important thing. We want to compete. It's obviously a team that is used here in South Africa to impose. That will be quite challenging, because I know that, as you said, for example, with Borussia, it's a high-tempo, high-rhythm team that comes from German football, which is very intense, very quick, very aggressive. And we'll have to deal with that, and we'll have to deal with we'll need the right mentality to understand that playing against those teams in some moments will not have the ball. And how a team that like us, that is used to control the games, to arrive in the end of the games and have 70% of ball possession, how we'll deal with things that will be more equal. But also we should understand that we also play Champions League matches here in South Africa, and those relations, they become more similar, because here in South Africa there are obviously wonderful teams that also compete in the Champions League for the trophies, for the last stages of the competition. I think we should think on ourselves more on that level. So we should push ourselves to the limit to cope with teams that will be for sure in the level of the best ones we played against already. And we need to target ourselves to the limit. That's clearly the question and how I see it. And African football is also about joy. It's inside the pitch, it's outside the pitch. People should not think that our game is not organized, because there's an idea that African teams, they are not organized mostly on defense. That is already not true. I think that's a way that has been done in the last years, and if you go to the best teams in South Africa, for example, you see teams with organization. Maybe they play their way, but we see some things that already allow us to say that the level of football in general is quite interesting. And that's what we have also to take to the Clubs World Cup, is the joy of being African, the pleasure of representing South Africa, but showing the world that we have high-level football also.
So Zizo, as we move out, I think based on what we've seen so far, it was also good to see Mokwana playing, but I think it was a good start also for Jose Rivero at Al Ahly. PT, there was that situation with the penalty and stuff. But this is a group, that was a game. I felt that Al Ahly should have won. But when you look at the matches that are still coming for Al Ahly, something positive is going to come there.
And one thing I liked about Al Ahly in that match is that they didn't show respect to Lionel Messi. They competed, and if this is what to come from Rivero Ball at Al Ahly, well, I don't know. I don't know. And also, they've been very intentional in the transfer market. They've bought players. They've boosted their team.
Spent a lot.
They've spent a lot. So, Al Ahly are spending a lot here. We've been told about the fair play, financial fair play, and all that kind of thing. If you really want to compete at that level, that's the amount of money you need to spend on buying for the players. And also, to go back on the financial fair play thing, in a way, if you have got one team that is strong financially to buy players, then it means the other teams need to be smart as how they recruit. Because you can recruit without having to spend a lot of money. If you invest a little bit in your scouting, where you have got people who are going around looking for players for you.
Yes.
So,
and also when talking about scouting, you are not saying one person.
No.
You've got a team of scouts and a scouting network.
Yes, you must have a
and
scouting
you've got
network.
satellite scouts around the country.
Yes.
So those things should be very clear.
Can make up for you not having to go and buy a player for 40 million on the transfer market.
Yes, and also, Zizo, one of the things I was told is that when you talk about good scouting, it doesn't mean that you are getting those players for free. Because the likes of Sereno were scouted, but still there was a lot of money.
Yes.
I remember Sundowns paid something like 13 million rands for Meza.
Meza, yeah.
Yes. So scouting doesn't mean that you're getting
it's cheap. No.
It's cheap,
Yeah.
But it means that you've done...
done your homework.
Yeah, you've done your homework properly. The due diligence.
Which at elite level, that's what must happen. But our clubs don't do that. They rely on agents.
Shortcuts.
Players.
Yeah.
Those ones of saying, then they sign.
We were here in this stadium when one coach, we were in this stadium, and I must qualify this. It was an away coach, not a home coach. One coach said, I asked, so who's scouting? He said, no, me and the club owner sometimes go on the scout. It's like, I want to
Yeah, I know. I mean, you'll never win the championship with that stuff.
No. Yeah. So from Club World Cup, we stay with North African teams and talk pyramids and Zamalek. It's becoming increasingly clear that Zamalek is pushing hard for Coach Pitso.
Zamalek, you can pretty much say maybe a sleeping giant. I think they want to awaken the sleeping giant, and it doesn't come bigger than Coach Pitso, somebody with vast experience on the continent. I think Coach Pitso is rested now. We need him back. We need him back. I think it will be a strong statement of intent. He knows the country.
Yes.
He knows the region. He knows the territory. The speculation is not going away. It looks like they are going for him. I heard Coach Rulani in one of the interviews saying that if they were to approach him, he would not be interested in going.
Actually, he said he decided to take a back seat
because
there was also
Coach Pitso.
there was a mention of Coach Pitso as well.
Because it looks like they were also looking at Coach Rulani to try and help them. Pyramids. Pretty much victims of their own success now. I think the coach wants a lot of money because he says, hey, I've delivered the big fish.
And also on his way to lifting that title, he was really not happy with playing in front of
of no crowds.
Yeah, because there was lack of motivation. Even though I felt that he did a lot of good work there. But also there's a lot of money coming from the Gulf region in terms of offers coming for him now.
And I mean, you can also imagine Cardoso. I mean, the guy has won the Champions League, so rather maybe go and get a new challenge elsewhere. Mayele, you can see his stocks has risen because of the success that he has had in the Champions League. He's probably asking for more money, and there's a club next to Thembinkosi there that is willing to pay the big dollar.
And I said this thing, Mayele, that I hear, but if there's one club that really needs him, it's Sundowns. But it's a pity that they could have had him for
way cheaper.
less, you know.
Yeah,
But
way cheaper.
yeah,
But pay for such mistakes.
yeah. So, do you think Coach Rulani really can go to Pyramids? Because I've heard, and I know there's been stories around it, but also the sporting director at Pyramids came out to deny it last week that they are interested in him. But you will never know sometimes in these things.
At Pyramids, also the other thing for Coach Lund may be not having a club with ambitions, but not even too many supporters. Because I felt that at Wydad, really, the fans there were impatient.
The president, until even when they had left, you saw even the president when he was going around the stadium with him to say goodbye. He didn't want them to leave. You know, he didn't want them to leave. But I think there were a lot of things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And you see even the way that they reinforced the team as soon as he left. You know, there are things that we need to understand with North African football that we don't understand.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, because
and also there, it's not an owner system. You know, a president is elected. So
on behalf of the fans, yeah.
on behalf of the fans
Like
and
Real
also the
Madrid
board,
and-
yes.
yeah.
So the president doesn't really have the last word on most of these things.
And I'm told he had a relentless resignation on his desk for a very, very long time.
Exactly.
He was not accepting it, but also because of pressure from the spiritual owners of the club, the supporters.
Yeah. Remember,
He couldn't face them and say,
Bangasho bale
respect-
success and
Yeah, you know,
yeah,
so-
we voted for you there, and we can also
because
take you
Coach
out.
Ulani said he said to the chairman, say, no, but explain to the fans what we're trying to do here. This is a project.
You know, I was
And we want
surprised
to
that
believe in the project.
Wydad didn't spend a cent buying a player. All the players they got were free, on loan, others coming free.
And others on the influence of Rulani, Lorch and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because remember, they also had a transfer ban. And which is another issue with Zamalek. When I was in Egypt, I heard that Zamalek has got some serious financial issues. Besides the transfer ban, but they also have some serious financial issues.
So this Rulani thing, they may look back maybe a few seasons from now and realize that they made a mistake. Because I can guarantee you now, Coach Rulani will get an opportunity somewhere on the continent. He'll do well.
yeah. And also, he wants to coach Champions League. Do you think he's off the table here next door?
I guess that they are signing players now. How do you sign players without the coach?
I want us to just have a moment on this issue of
players. Who owns the
because the club and the coach, who do the players belong to? Because Zizo, things don't go well. A coach has brought in 20 players.
And then he leaves.
And then he leaves.
Yeah.
And then what happens there?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I think it's difficult to find a balance. Even if the club is buying the players, I think ordinarily, just sort of involve the coach in a way.
Yeah, but involve the coach, but the coach must not. It must not be an issue where they say the coach must have a final word. Because
He can't have the final weight on all the players. I mean,
Yes.
Of course, I mean, at the end of the season, if the coach is continuing for next season or whatever the case may be, he will submit a list to say, okay, this is my wish list, get these players for me. And then the club will say, okay, we can get 1, 2, 3, depending on what we can afford and that kind of thing. But there must be that level of communication between...
No, of course. It also doesn't mean that as a coach now you must go around scouting players.
There must be people who are scouting for you.
There are people who
And they come and recommend, and then you're okay or
structures.
you don't okay.
And structures are very important.
But you are making a very good point that if I come and I'm signed 10 players and then I lose the first 5 matches, I get fired, then what's going to happen?
Also, you are a new coach in this league. We have to sign players. Who do you know?
Yeah, it's a complicated thing. There must be synergy in a way,
Correct.
But in this case, obviously, parents don't have a coach, and they can't sit and do nothing. They've got to
Exactly.
move. They can't wait for a coach because now they are very soon. I think they're going back to Spain or something.
Yes.
They will need to leave with the players that they've signed. Go and have a look there. Maybe the coach will find them there or whatever, or if the coach is from there. We don't know. But I mean, under normal circumstances,
some players are sitting there idling. I mean, Abo Mbule, even though I think Mbule we'll finally go to the destination we always wanted to go to. Yeah.
As Coach Peter used to say, it will go where it's supposed to go.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, the Mbule one is very interesting. I think Mbule, if he goes to Chiefs, he will help them. He will also galvanize the fans.
Yes.
Chiefs is a club that buzzes when the fans are happier, and he's a player who, if he just fixes the small stuff off the field, he can.
But I think if he goes there, the contract must also be watertight.
Yeah.
And sometimes I also feel that, with all due respect to our friends, the agents, they also need to play their part. You know, fully so.
Because sometimes they don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
You
speak to a lot of retired footballers, they speak very, very bad about
Exactly.
And it's about time we say this because it's the truth. They may be angry, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Because, but talking of these clubs on the continent, it for some time now, I had not seen this happening. It was sad to see a story of Dynamos forfeiting their spot in the CAF Confederation Cup. And Dembara is a very big club on the other side of the Limpopo River. So it was sad to see this. And also, remember, for 2 seasons now, CAF introduced a fee of around 50,000 USD, which is around just close to R1 million, 900,000 something, that you get just for participating in the preliminary stages. So to see them falling off because of they feel that they will not have enough money to compete, I don't know whether they are being misled or they don't know about this amount, or they just feel that they don't need to be there.
Yeah, I guess maybe it may talk to deeper problems internally at the club. Maybe the chairman went to the finance guy and said, hey, the coffers are dry. Because, let's be honest, even though since Dr. Patrice Motsepe came to CAF, there's been some improvement in terms of monies made out of competing in these tournaments. But it is still quite an expensive exercise to go up and down the continent. I'm not defending them. I think they should be playing there because at the same time, you can just shut out teams of the players. The players want to play in these tournaments. Some players play there, and then the next thing they're in the national teams. It's also a big problem for the national team because the national team coach will probably be relying on some of the players that will be getting valuable experience on the continent. It's a sad thing. We spoke not so long ago here that these tournaments need strong presence from Southern Africa and also East Africa.
We don't have the likes of
Africa.
Zesco now, Zanaco, it's just Sundowns, we had Pirates, and then we also had Petro. Petro also were not strong last season. We don't see the likes of Primero de Agosto.
No.
So, and also here in Southern Africa now, it's just more of Angola, South Africa.
Yeah.
We don't see teams from Zambia, teams from Zimbabwe, the FC Platinums, the Highlanders. It's
a sad thing. I think they need to sort their stuff. I understand the economy in Zimbabwe is quite tough. But they must find a way, really.
Especially when you see their national team back at the AFCON, also doing well as well.
It's really, really a sad one.
But it's also interesting now because our next World Cup qualifier, we're playing Lesotho and Nigeria, and it does look like Nigeria. But it's a Blomo. Ngathi Nigeria bafuna uyisuffocate Blomo abafuna udlala la ngase Hillbrow nase Berea nase Yeoville.
No. Run away from the Ogazian Hillbrow.
No. We thought Oga were going to bring you here at the Calabash and
they must travel
and finish the super igusi chicken here, but it doesn't look like But now in October, in one of our games where we're supposed to be celebrating, we're also banking on a home ground advantage, a home away from home for Zimbabwe here in South Africa.
But it
looks like Zifa, they are really pushing for the national stadium in Harare to be ready.
Yeah, they are working behind I mean, around the clock to ensure that the National Sports Stadium in Harare is fixed. It's been really a painful thing to watch, seeing the Warriors playing their home matches in Popo,
in Durban.
in Durban, and all that kind of thing. And I think we need to get to a point where all the national teams play their matches at home. I think CAF needs to come a little bit harder. Maybe they'll force political leaders in respective countries to ensure that at least you have got one national stadium where the national team can play. I still remember that moment where Namibia qualified for AFCON here in Soweto.
Yeah, I understand.
And I just imagine...
Empty stands.
In an environment of empty stands. Can you imagine if that happened in Windhoek? You know, people dancing on the streets, full stadium.
But the governments must commit.
The government must commit.
Yeah, even though Chad can be celebrating, even though they did it through China, you know.
Yeah, China built them a 30,000 seater stadium.
And I don't think that is a free lunch. There's no free lunch.
There's no free lunch. I mean, there's always been this in a bigger political speak. To say, I mean, China, even one of the stadiums in Ivory Coast for the AFCON was built by China. They say it's for free, but I mean, I don't know how free that is. So we need to go visit the dictionary and check what is the meaning of free, you know, because surely they are not doing it for free. There must be political things linked to this kind of things. But for you can imagine now that the next time Chad plays at home, they will be playing at home because that stadium is an Olympic stadium, which meets the requirement of FIFA and CAF, which is good for FIFA. Also, it's a very, very good thing. I think maybe for us as a journalist, it will be nice to go to Harare.
To Harare,
match against Bafana. It will be an occasion.
Yes, and also one of the things is that it's not just about qualifying direct. You can still go to the playoff. So teams will still be competing for the second spot.
Yes.
So it's not going to be easy. And then if FIFA is still being lenient towards us now, we'll wait because
we'll wait and
see until September. If we are keeping our
those
5-point lead, you know, if we are keeping our 5-point lead, you know, but I think it's just good. But also with FIFA must still, in fact, CAF must still come and inspect. You know, so they are not. You can renovate, but it's still. But when you've got new bucket seats, also the pitch,
the floodlights,
the new floodlights,
the drainage system,
and then I'm sure they will also be checking the dressing rooms as well. So let's see if it's approved. And if it's not approved,
the must come here. And also, I mean, you can imagine the people in Zimbabwe. They've got a lot of people who know these things. They can even come to South Africa here if they are looking for expertise for people who knows how compliance is.
Even though these days they are working a lot with people from Morocco.
Well,
we don't talk politics, but we see there's a political party that is also flirting with Morocco. And when people for a very long time there was a foreign policy of the Western Sahara, but we don't talk politics. We talk football. But South Africa and Morocco, man's in the oil, baba. So it's going to be interesting how and who will be coming to inspect the stadium, because remember the last time, even when Delron Barkley got banned, then there was tear gas and something when we qualified. I think it was for the 2002 World Cup, and we were playing there in Harare against Zimbabwe. It will be good to go and celebrate there, even though we finish our World Cup qualification here at home against Rwanda. But it will be good just to go to Harare and shugumisa abantu khona.
And also, historically, the football rivalry between South Africa and Zimbabwe is very strong.
Yeah, very strong.
It's very strong. This is some of the people who were giving us 4x4s back in the day when we were starting.
It's payback time.
It's payback time now. I mean, you remember those.
And they are coached by a man who was responsible for the coaching syllabus in the coaching education in South Africa, Michael Nias.
Yes. And you remember those Nelson Mandela matches.
Yes.
It used to be exciting because also the two teams were strong and all that kind of thing. But also the current Zimbabwean team now, it's a very, very strong team.
It's a very, very strong team. And there are few players playing in the PSL.
There are few players playing in the PSL.
And also,
in Europe.
We've got players in Europe. And also, on top of that, we are meeting them again at the AFCON.
So it will be a nice derby. Yeah, even though I would love to play them here using home ground advantage, but still, I wouldn't mind a short flight to Harare to be inside that stadium, enjoy with the Zimbabweans, enjoy a good game of football between South Africa and
because I also feel that it's possible that by the time Bafana goes to Zimbabwe in October, they could have done their business against Lesotho and Nigeria.
Yeah, which will mean that we're going there for a celebration. Can you imagine?
but their stadium must be approved first.
Maybe let's send Professor Lorch to go and approve quickly. And then we must go there. It will be, I think the atmosphere inside that stadium will be very, very nice.
Yeah.
Zimbabweans like their football just like us, pretty much everybody on the continent.
Sure.
And I think in the bigger scheme of things, it will be very good to see the Warriors of Zimbabwe playing their matches back at home. People there have been starved of seeing the national team at home for a very long time, and this is a good thing. And also the guys in chat, Jamina will be the place to be the next time they play there, playing at home. And I'm sure there will be other countries on the continent which will wake up to this reality and say, no more. We can't have situations where teams are playing their matches away from home. And we have to plead with the political leaders. We understand that most of the countries on the continent, we have got other issues that we have to deal with, social issues that we have got to deal with. But an investment in a football stadium is not a bad thing at all, because also it takes care of the young people who will be using those facilities. Who knows? You may unearth the next superstar who will be playing in those stadiums. So it's quite important that leadership must invest in sport infrastructure. Yeah.
Well, so we are just, from talking World Cup qualifiers and AFCON to WAFCON, we're just a few weeks away from Banyana going to Morocco to defend their title. I know it's a delayed one because it was supposed to have been held last year. But I think the spotlight has been, and it's an end of an era for some players. At least the good thing with Jermaine Seoposenwe, in as much as she said she's retiring, but she's still going to the WAFCON. But with Thembi, we don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, with Thembi, I really don't know what's going on there. And I think going forward, it needs to be sorted out, because it may actually be a bigger problem where she's not available for AFCON and then she can be available for the World Cup.
Because there are two WAFCONs. There's this WAFCON now. Yeah. There's another WAFCON coming up earlier next year, which will be a qualification WAFCON
for the World Cup.
In Brazil.
They need to sort this thing out, because we're just young. Obviously, I mean, we have to be sensitive and be respectful of personal reasons. It can be anything, we don't know. But I think she needs to also play open cards with the federation to say, okay, this message, we don't have to know what those personal reasons are. But I think probably is valid enough reasons for her to skip the tournament. Players always look forward to playing these big tournaments. It comes as a shock for me that.
But remember, we were in the press conference where they were announcing the retirement of Nuku and Nyandeni. Yeah, before their last game that they played those two matches.
Here in Johannesburg.
Yeah. Yes. And there, it was clear what was happening there. In fact, there's a part, I just forgot, but there's a part where Thembi was also even unhappy with how CAF is even handling issues around women's football.
Yeah, she was very strong on the fact that the CAF is always willing to move WAFCON to accommodate the men's program. And I felt that was very, very brave of her. We need players who can speak out, because our players these days are just scared of expressing themselves, even when they feel there's injustice that is happening to the sport. So I commended her to come out and speak about these things, because of course it's unacceptable. You can't keep on moving women's tournaments to accommodate the men's tournaments. This tournament, as we say, is supposed to be played last year already. It's going to play now. Now there's a short turnaround because there's another one coming that will act as a qualifier for the next World Cup. So I don't know if maybe she's been punished because of those.
And I think there was an issue about outstanding monies for Banyana players as well. I think for going to camps back.
There is also the reason why they are saying maybe Jermaine also the decision to retire is maybe some of the problems that are happening behind the scenes. But we just don't know. Banyana is a team that whenever they are playing, the interest is always there because they've really punched above their weight. If you come to think of it, that even though some of the players are playing in professional leagues, but we still don't have a professional women's league in the country. So they've done very well.
What is happening there? Because when SAFA was bidding to host the Women's World Cup, I remember who was the minister back then, but they had even promised that the following year there will be a professional women's league. But as soon as we moved out of bidding, the talk died down. And there's been talk also that professional football doesn't reside at SAFA. So is SAFA the right platform to be talking about professionalizing women's football?
That's a tricky one. Because I mean, if SAFA, as to who must run professional women's football,
because Premier Soccer League, the NSL, is operating on a license coming from SAFA to run professional men's football.
So they are the ones who must run professional women's football.
Or maybe there could be another entity that will run professional women's football, or do it jointly with the PSL. Because I think these are very important things, but those are stories.
That's
but I think what
you also have a feeling that maybe SAFA are holding on to Banyana. They don't want to release it.
Because
but they're not doing justice to it because
because one of the things I apparently this is where Pirates and Chiefs in particular, and remember now, Chiefs is coming to
compete. They need to have a women's team.
Apparently they've got the women's team already.
Those partnerships.
Those partnerships. But the issue there, apparently also they could have moved and have their own team, but it is the restrictions. Because even when you've got sponsors, there's just too much restrictions around even the Hollywood Super League. That their sponsors can't get this. And so that's why I feel that for me personally, how I see it, SAFA is not the right place, especially when you look at the challenges that they have, even with some of their league, like the ABC Mutsipe. It is not the right place to talk about housing a professional women's league.
Yeah, I know, because also you just feel that I don't think they've got enough capacity to run a professional league.
No, they don't.
They just don't have, and also, even though when it comes to Bafana, there has been an appetite from private companies to be associated with the Bafana because Bafana are doing well, but they will continue having a big challenge in trying to attract sponsors to put money behind the women's football league. But it must happen because it's long overdue. We need to have a professional women's football in the country.
As we close, so I just want us to play this insert quickly. It's called CAF Impact Program. That is aimed at improving the governance of the game around women's football, youth and school competitions, the coaching and referee training, the safeguarding and integrity, but also the community impact. Something that I feel that is very important was up to 1.6 million USD over 4 years each member association will be getting, but people must account.
The CAF Impact Program is a transformative initiative designed to empower Africa's 54 member associations and zonal unions, accelerating football growth to make African football globally competitive and self-sustaining. With a shared vision for Africa's future, the CAF Impact Program focuses on 3 objectives. 1. Invest in the growth and development of our member associations by providing resources, training, and infrastructure to nurture football talent. 2. Promote positive impacts by driving gender inclusion, youth development, and community outreach that shape the future of African football. 3. Promote good governance, transparency, and accountability to ensure that African football's development is managed responsibly, ethically, and sustainably. Financial support. Member associations receive up to $1.6 million over 4 years a 60% increase from the previous cycle. To support women's football, youth development and competitions, schools football, operational costs. An additional $500,000 over 4 years is available for meeting key performance criteria, including participation in zonal union competitions, introduction of safeguarding policies and activities in their federation, organizing the CAF African Schools Football Championships national phase, introducing anti-match fixing initiatives. If the member association's annual revenue is below $3 million, the MA is entitled to an additional travel allowance. Zonal unions can access $750,000 annually for football development and to support in operational expenses. Accountability and transparency. Funds are deposited into dedicated CAF Impact bank accounts, audited annually by independent auditors to ensure compliance with global standards. We are ensuring that every dollar invested serves the purpose of growing the game. With the CAF Impact Program, we are shaping the future of African football, creating opportunities for every nation, every region, and every player, for every boy and girl to thrive. The future is here. The impact is undeniable.
I think if implemented to the T, this is going to be very effective.
When we talk about accounting with these football leaders on the continent, I don't know. I mean, it's a very, very good thing.
Yes.
You know, my fear with CAF, the day Dr. Motsipe leaves that place, I really don't know what's going to happen there. Because he has really worked very hard to professionalize the place. There's money now at CAF.
Correct.
CAF always had these perennial problems of TV rights.
Yes.
It's been sorted out.
Yes.
I think also Lux, our brother, has done a good job in that space. And CAF is run like a professional organization. My heart melted. I saw Tabang Mazibuko arriving in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
To go and help with the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, what?
Things are happening at CAF.
Wow.
Clubs must follow suit. Clubs must be professional. Federations must follow suit. Things must be done professionally. Gone are those days where we hear teams coming back from countries on the continent complaining about training pitches. They're complaining about stadiums, that there was no hot water inside the stadium. We need to do things right so that we can really take advantage on the professionalization of CAF as it is now.
So this CAF Impact Program, we feel that it's something that can work effectively, and we have less focus on infighting in the elections, in the SAFA NEC or Ghanaian football executives or NFF boards or Egyptian Football Association, Zambia, the situation there in Zambia. You know, we need less
Zimbabwe
of these things.
being banned from CAF, from FIFA.
So let's see this CAF Impact Program working, and also people must account. How was this 1.6 million USD spent?
And if this thing works, you know who is the winner here? Is the young boy in Tamale? Is the young boy in KZN?
100%.
Is the young boy in Bulawayo? Leave these suits there. This is about young boys and young girls on the continent, because they will benefit from this thing. Because if these things are done properly, they are the ones who must benefit, because we need the next superstar to come out of the continent.
Talking of the young ones, when we come back with the next edition next week, there are kids from here in Africa, from South Africa, who've gone to Spain, to Spain on a La Liga program, and we'll come back with that next year in more details around that one. So as we say this week.
Is that it?
Yeah, yeah. So I hope that Greg is coming back. We need him now. We're getting ready now for September.
I said you must, Greg, if you are watching, I need you to bring me, what do I call that thing? That they eat.
Fufu.
I must bring me fufu. I need fufu, Greg. Coach, please bring the fufu for me.
Chineke. Yeah, otherwise, so as we say,
Jambo Africa.